moment I wake up, before I put on my makeup, I say a little prayer for you. And while combing my hair now.
Welcome to the HMB-sides, web-exclusive content available only on HMBradio.com and on podcast. This is Extra Time with Jared Waters. The time went so fast. I rarely do the extra time anymore, and I'm glad that I didn't get to do my full intro that I usually do, where I talk about dumb stuff for 15 minutes before the guest arrives. Because you never know what you're going to get. Right. And I think I've met you maybe once or twice before.
Yes, of
course. But we've
yes.
never really talked.
In depth.
And I don't know what I'm going to get. Sometimes nothing out of people. But you are more than gracious with your conversation skills. So
yes, sir.
It went by really fast. So I thank you again for coming in
no problem,
and
man.
doing this. So we were talking about comedy, the life of a comedian.
Right.
You said you were doing an internship in Orlando.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And what were you doing? Like a character, or what was the deal?
No. So they had like a management program at Disney. First you do the internship, then you go to the management program. So what I was doing, I was on the boats, like tying the boats up and doing stuff like that. So they put me in like watercraft. So I was doing that for a while, but like the people I work with, they were all like old people. So they never worked at night. And the boats, the ferry boats, are the latest boats possible. So whenever the park closes, 3 hours later is when I get off. So I was getting off work at 3 o'clock in the morning and everything else. So what I struggled with in training was tying up the boats, because like you just have to wrap it like a sheriff and just wrap it like that. So one time, especially at the company, everything's so competitive at Disney. Everyone's trying to get up there because it's just like Walmart a little bit. They don't pay as much. But like there's the big wigs and everyone else is fighting for everything.
Right.
So this other intern was up there, and he was trying to get Val for a management position. And I tied the boat up, but I didn't tie it tight, so it slowly started drifting away. Now, if you don't know anything about boats, you just think the boat is rocking really hard. But if you do know something about boats, you know the boat's slowly drifting away. But people were just jumping on because they're just like, oh, the boat's drifting off a little bit. So he goes, hey, fix the boat. So I tied it up, and like he started freaking out when we were up there because nobody's up there. I said, hey, look, man, I need you to calm down. That's the first step I need you to do. He goes, what do you mean? I said, freaking calm down, man. Nobody's on this boat except me and you. People make mistakes. Relax. He goes, all right. I said, just drop it, all right? This is the last time I'm going to ask you to drop it. So he goes, all right, dude, we're cool, man. We're freaking cool, bro. We're good, man. I was like, all right, man, good. So we had a good time. And then as soon as I get off the boat, he walks over to this chick, and he tells her exactly what happened. And she like, I just thought they would drop it. So I leave to go home because I had to work in like 2 more days. So it was my weekend. So then I come back Monday, and they're like, hey, Jared, don't get on the boats. I was like, what's wrong? He goes, we need you to sit down in the office. And I thought they were going to talk to me about this chick because we were talking about bra sizes on the boat. And I was like, hey, for sexual harassment, I'm out of here. This is it. That titty joke was too far. I'm done. I'm out of here. And they're like, do you want to tell us what happened on the boat? I was like, what, who's on, what?
Which circumstance?
What happened? I was like, no, what are you talking about? He goes, when you didn't tie the boat? I was like, oh, yeah, I didn't tie the boat correctly, but I tightened it up and everything went well. Nobody got hurt.
Like guests on this boat?
There's guests on this boat, but it was late at night, so not a lot of people get on the boat. So they're like little.
You had guests jumping on the boat?
They weren't jumping. It's just like this
little hop.
Like this. Like you could walk over there. You wouldn't fall. If you fell, you wouldn't have fell in the water. It was just like rocking like this.
Yeah.
So it's like maybe only 2 guests got on the boat. But the slow boat was like drifting. He goes, are we ready to dock? I was like, no. He goes, well, we're drifting. I was like, oh, my bad. I just thought I tied it. So what they do is when they take you to Disney jail, they have a court and they have like a judge and everything else. You have to present your case. But since it's so competitive, they expect you to pull somebody down with them and let them know if someone else isn't doing stuff. Mm-hmm. So I'm just not built that way because like the 4 character keys of Disney is safety, courtesy, show, and efficiency. So like safety is like the main thing. If you're not being safe, they'll fire you because of that. So the guy goes, just write a statement about what happens, and then we'll just see what happens, and they'll do it. So I wrote a statement. I was like, I apologize for what happened. I was like, honestly made a mistake. I was like, I don't have, I said a mistake. I said, but if we just look at historically, I was like, this whole company's built off mistakes. I said, when Disney World first opened, there was cement that wasn't even dry yet, and people were getting stuck inside the ground, sewage messed up. I was like, this one mistake can't do it. And this is something's noted that I struggle with in training for. And I was like, I asked for an act of kind-heartedness. You know what I mean? That's what I act for. I have grace to do this. So they didn't, like, they took, like, the worst thing, because they take your Disney key card, that's to get in all the parks. He goes, I'm going to need your card.
It's like turning in your gun and
I was
badge.
like, what? You going to need my park passes, baby? So he takes it, and then it's just so, like, how the people were just so nice to me, but as soon as they thought, they just, like, turned their back on me or whatever. But I was like, dude, I can give an F about that. My life has been a struggle forever. I could care less about making things. So then, like, they make you wait for, like, 4 days. It was, like, 4 days and everything else. And then my roommates was like, dude, don't feel down. That's when I told my roommates, I came out here to do stand-up. They're like, what? So I figured, like, Disney would help and being in this area. And they're like, oh, we didn't know you were doing stand-up. So that's when I just opened up. And they're like, man, just don't worry about it. So then they called me, like, we're going to keep you at the company, but we're going to send you to Cosmic Rays. And that's the busiest restaurant in the world. And then on my application, I wrote, do not put me in fast food. I want to be around food. I don't want people to see me like this. And it just happened to be the best thing because I was back there with the Haitians, and I had to pretend I was Haitian for 6 months because they, like, had a whole bunch of great lunch. So I learned some parts of, like, I was just learning some parts of French. And all the pretty chicks worked in fast food. So I was like, man, I finally was living the experience now because I was with other college kids. I was with other hot people meeting around. I was meeting all these different cultures and everything. So it worked out in the blessing in disguise because I worked in the back, so nobody really saw me.
Right.
I just had to, like, it was just massive because Disney's, like, sits on top of, like, this big kingdom. But in the back, it's a wild wilderness. And they've been feeding these animals for, like, 50 years, so they're not scared of humans. So you have to take this 100-pound basket at the end of the night and all the food they, like, didn't use or everything else or all the food that, like, was wasted. And you take it there, and, like, these are, like, massive, like, maybe 20 raccoons waiting like this for you. And as soon as you, like, I'm, like, trying and I drop it off, and they open it like they're opening up the trunk of a car, and they're, like, scooping food out and feeding each other, like passing chicken down to each other and everything else.
They're feeding the animals the food that doesn't get served?
They're not feeding the animals. It's a wilderness. The animals are literally opening up I didn't feed anything. I put those things down and close it, but raccoons have thumbs.
Right.
So they're opening it up, and the raccoons are literally grabbing stuff and eat. I seen a raccoon eat a freaking ice cream cone right in front of me.
That must have been adorable.
I was sitting there taking pictures of it, and I, like, snapped a picture. He looked at me and said, let me get out of here before he F's me out. So it was like that, but I met some, like, really cool people, and so, like, I finished my internship, and then came to Tampa and started doing it, and
So it did, but it didn't work out in Orlando. Did you finish?
I went back to the internship because they hired me to teach at Disney World because they has a school back there, so they could it's teaching. So I started teaching back there
For, like, faculty or not faculty, employees type of thing?
for their kids. For
Yeah.
like they had like a camp where like all these rich, like the Shaw's kids, like the freaking billionaires' kids would come, and they would pay all this money to have, like, a camp there.
Uh-huh.
And I was teaching there, and I met all these other teachers that were there, and they're like, we teach. I'm from a kindergarten and everything else. I'm like, dude, you should try this. My mom was like, you should go to a job fair and look for teaching stuff. So I go to the job fair, and this lady walks up to me, and she goes, you're a man teacher? She goes, yeah. She goes, I have a job opportunity right now at my school. And I was like, I just want to take a couple laps around and see what I can get. Then she comes back at me again, and she goes, look, we got a kindergarten position open. No, she goes, we got a teaching open. I think you should apply for it. And I was like, all right. She goes, I need you to be a surrogate father. She's like, to the kids, but I didn't hear that part. And I was like, do you need a baby or something? Like, do you want me to be your surrogate father? She goes, no, I have a husband. I don't need, she's like, I don't need you. So the lady goes, I was like, I'll call her back. So she gets my resume, and she goes, look, I know you're fresh out of college. You taught there. She goes, look, I want you to be a kindergarten teacher. And I was like, absolutely no way. Never in life would I do this. And she goes, why? I had a bad experience with kindergarten. I was like, you have another grade? She goes, look, the only offer I'm having you is freaking kindergarten. And I was like, do I still want to do this Disney thing and work all the time, or just freaking get in the classroom and just grind it out? So I took her offer on it, and it just happened to work out because the school was, like, closing. So I didn't have the supplies, so everything I learned on my own.
Mm-hmm.
So I was just like, I didn't have any, like, really resources. So I was like, I was just like, I got to make my own thing. So I was like, what do these kids need to know to get to first grade? So I'll go to the first grade teachers because they had everything. And I was like, this is what the kids got to know? All right, I'm going to teach them that, and I'll get them that. So I was like,
what do kids need to know in kindergarten?
Get out of kindergarten. You have to read over 100
Not
sight
piss your
words.
pants?
No, it's none of my kids pee on themselves. All my kids are freaking. If you get any of my kids now, some of them are going to be like either UFC fighters or like people that change the world. They're freaking tough as nails. You have to read. Yeah, you have to write 2 sentences. I think you have to write 3 to 4 sentences. But all my kids write paragraphs, add, subtract. You got to know the difference between wants and needs. You had the tens and ones and disposable numbers. That's what you had to know. So I just knew that whatever they had to learn in first grade, I was like, I'm just going to teach them the first grade standards.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to find my way to do it. So I just went on YouTube and just literally taught myself and wrote about Harry Wong because I was like, I was used to 5th grade. And I learned it, and I didn't know how well I was doing until, like, after, like, 9 weeks, the parents were like, oh, my God, my kids learned so much. I was like, what? Like, can you see? It's like, I didn't know. I just thought I was doing what I was doing. I was like, oh, my God, you've taught her so much. They respect men so much, and they, like, listen to me. So it was really good. But, like, when I first started, it was like, I had an aide, and she didn't know she was an aide. She thought she was my co-teacher. Because when they told us, like, you guys are going to co-teach because Waters is his first year, and you know what you're doing because you've been a long-term sub. So when we introduced each other to the parents, like, I don't talk that much. So she's, like, talking, and I'm not saying anything. So they're like, we don't know what this black dude does. He's just sitting there quiet. So I think he must be the teacher's aide. And they're walking up to us like, no, I'm the kindergarten teacher. I will be the teacher. I said, she'll be helping me out. But she, like, made a whole speech about, like, what I believe as a teacher is and everything else. I'm, like, trying to speak up, and she's, like, taking, I was like, F it, you want to talk? You got the stage, like, whatever. So, like, eventually, the school started closing down, so they had to fire her and put her to a new position. They're like, oh, so he is the teacher. So they started coming to me. So then I started figuring things out, and, like, parents would walk up to me and be like, I don't feel comfortable with a man teaching my little daughter. So what are you going to do to make me feel happy about it? I was like, I got a suggestion. I said, why don't you go to East Carolina University for 5 years to get your elementary education degree, and you get it and you graduate from college and teach your daughter yourself. So this dude, her husband just busts out laughing. He goes, this dude's tough. And I realized I was like, I didn't have a beard at the time, and people didn't respect me because I looked young. Mm-hmm. So then as soon as I grew my beard out, people were like, oh, Waters, he's old. I think he's like 38 or something like that, 34. Like, he knows what he's talking about. So then as I grew my beard out, people were just like, oh, yeah, God knows what he's talking about. He's been doing it for a long time. So
I grow this because I don't have a chin. It goes in like this. Like, it just connects to my throat.
I always wanted the Freeway beard.
Oh, me too,
and
man.
I never could grow it in until I, like, got, like maybe 21. Then it started growing. But when I started letting it grow, like, people really stopped. They started trusting me a little bit. But it was like,
it's a dignified thing.
It's just like he knows a lot. Everything else.
A masculine thing, yeah.
But
this is as good as I'm getting. Unfortunately,
my first year I didn't know anything, but I just knew I couldn't back down. And if I was wrong, I had to be wrong the whole way. And if I ever admitted I made a mistake, then the whole time they would never believe what I said. So even if I was wrong, I had to keep that wrong the whole time and be wrong until the whole year was over.
Yeah, that's good that you learned at a younger age, too, because I figured that out, too, where nobody knows what they're doing.
No.
I have no idea what I'm doing, but
Right.
you learn by doing. That's the best way.
And you learn from each other. So I was picking up from other teachers and taking their style. So it was just like, I probably wasn't supposed to do this, but it was the first grade. She's like, we're learning about clocks today. I was like, well, my kids need to learn about clocks in first grade. Can I borrow your clock? So I was either taking her lessons, and I found, like, a different way to teach. Like, the hardest thing in school right now is place value.
What does that even mean? I don't even know what that means. Oh, like decimal places?
Place value, carrying the one.
Oh, okay.
A lot of people don't know tens and ones. Why are we carrying a 10 and everything else? So everyone was struggling with it in, like, second grade and first grade. So I was like, if everyone's struggling with it now, I should teach my kindergarten class how to do it. So I kept teaching them this way, and it wasn't working. I was like, how can I do it? So I lined all the kids up. We went outside, and I was like, everyone get next to your best friend. So I got next to their best friend. I was like, are you guys best friends? She goes, yeah. I was like, I want you to stand all the way over there at the other side of the playground. And she goes, I said, are you guys still best friends? She goes, yeah. I said, just because you're separate doesn't mean you're not best friends. I said, sometimes a friend has to go away, but they're still best friends. I said, so I want you guys to be the number 16, right? You're 6 and you're 1. I was like, I want the 1 to go over there. The 1 goes away and goes to the next thing. And I was like, is it still number 16? Yeah, it's just what happens. The 1's there. It's still 16. So I taught them how to carry the 1 that way. I said, remember, 1 friend goes over. And then after I realized that, I didn't know how big of a deal it was until they started doing equations. They started doing algebraic stuff. And they're like, Waters, how are your kids doing that? I was like, I just figured a way to break it down for them to do it, to make it easier for them. And then after that, they're like, now you got it, man. And like, can you teach my kids how to do it and everything else? I was like, what? I was like, I was just sending my kindergartners to teach them.
Right.
They're like, what? I was like, my kindergartners can show you how to do it. They're like, what? I was like, no, they can do it. They're trained to do it. So it was just like me being I'm tough as well. My life was always tough, so my kids are tough. And sometimes you just have to teach them life lessons. And sometimes I know I went too hard. One girl, she cheated on her test. She cheated on a spelling test. And she had like her divider up. She cheated on a spelling test. I didn't know it until I was like, you're not supposed to have anything else. She goes, I just really want to color. I was like, all right. So I walked over and I picked up her paper she was coloring, flipped it over, and she had all the answers up there. That's pretty smart for 5,
sneaky,
right?
yeah.
It's pretty smart for
Absolutely.
5 years old. And I was like, I'm very disappointed in you. You really hurt my feelings, and I didn't know you were a cheater. She breaks down and starts crying. I was like, you know what color you're going to get on? She's like, red. I said, we're making a new color, triple black. So my classroom goes green, yellow, red, double red, triple red, black, double black, and I keep going. I'll put like 16 blacks. She breaks down and starts crying. I was like, what happens if I call your dad? She's like, man, give me pow pow. My daddy give me pow pow. I said, you don't want a pow pow? She's like, no. I said, you know, in this world, it's all about second chances. Everybody makes mistakes. I was like, everybody, this country was built off of mistakes. She goes, yeah. I said, who are they looking for? They're looking for Indians, right? But who do they find? They found Native Americans. I said, everybody in this world gets a second chance. I said, so guess what you're about to get? She goes, a second chance? I was like, nope, I'm about to call your dad. I was like, I don't believe in privileges.
Yeah.
And I was like, now you're not going to cheat again. So I called her dad and everything else. But some kids I know I'll give them that second chance. But for that kid, I was like, you're not going to get away with cheating in here. If you want to do something, have pride for doing it yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And
You don't have to deal with like testing. In
Yeah,
kindergarten.
we got to
Really?
test. Yeah.
What's
They
the
gotta-
test?
Testing, they got to write 5 sentences at
This
the
is
end.
like a Florida standardized type
Yeah,
of
they
thing.
have to do Ames. We have tests. They have to know letters. They have to do letters, sounds, blending sounds, everything else. So there's like a testing that we get evaluated on.
Do they have to do that in public school or private schools too?
Yeah, everyone has to take a
Homeschool? If you do homeschooling?
homeschool. They do. They're really much benchmark testing. So you have to score in the green to get out of kindergarten. So if you score in the red, it's just like, oh, maybe you got to do this. You score in the yellows, be doing. So they have different tiers. So tier 1, you don't need it. Tier 2, probably you need to have like one-on-ones, and tier 3 is like when you're like failing.
What's the biggest flaw you find in the education system?
The biggest flaw I found in the education system is not testing the students, it's testing the teachers. Like, the hardest part of teaching is taking that freaking test. It's like the whole point of teaching, they tell you need to teach multiple intelligence to the children. Like, kids don't learn a certain way. Kids don't learn. Some people are visual learners, audio learners, kinesthetic learners. It's like, okay, so why is the test for teachers all a visual test? I know some great teachers that can't teach because they didn't pass their certification. And some of them aren't study type of tests, but if I put them in the classroom, they could teach a kid freaking anything, but some of them can't teach right now because of the testing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I was in North Carolina, it took me like 7 times to take a test to pass. I was like, yo, this is BS. Why am I taking this test for? What does the SAT determine what I know how to do about how do I know how to teach?
Right. You know what I wish they would do too is focus more on the strengths.
Right.
If a kid's good in math, push more math classes. You know, I have an English degree.
That's my struggle, grammar.
Yeah.
I hate grammar.
But if you don't excel in this, you don't need to read Shakespeare. Sorry. I know it's beneficial to a certain extent, but if you have other strengths, you
Right.
should be feeding their strengths.
That's how I do. In my school, I'm more of a off the leash dude. I have this thing called, we do enrichment package, right? Enrichment is just like, if I know a kid's good at math, I'm pushing them in math as hard as I can. And I push them in math, and what I do is I group them. All my kids are very competitive. So we have this thing called warm fuzzy jar, right? It's like these little balls are like warm and fuzzy. And if you do the right thing, you get it. But if you get questions right, I'll give you 5. And you need 25 to make it to the treasure box. 25. Or what you could do is you can either make it to the treasure box and get a gift, or we have a big jar. You can donate it to the jar, and the whole class gets a pizza party. So at the end, if you got 24 warm fuzzy, you got to make a decision. Do I want to take this gift for myself, or do I want the whole class to enjoy something with me?
What
at
do they
5,
usually do?
In the beginning, they're selfish. But in the end, it takes one kid to be like, I want to put it towards the class party. Because not everybody's going to get warm fuzzies. Then after that, Then I see the leaders. Then I see the people that really want it. So then I start putting different ones in charge and different ones that do everything else, to the point where I say, just like in SeaWorld, they don't train the new whales. The other whales break them in. So when I get new kids, I don't worry about it because the other kids break them in when they get inside there. I don't have to tell a new kid what to do because the other kids are like, Mr. Waters doesn't like that. You need to sit down. Mr. Waters said this. You need to sit down. Why aren't you not listening? So they police themselves. They police other people when they go there. And sometimes I have to tell them, look, you don't talk to other teachers that way, okay? Well, he's a liar, and Mr. Waters, you told us not to lie. He told us he didn't mark your wall, and I saw him do it. I was like, yeah, but this guy is a teacher. You can't tell him he's a liar. She's like, I know, Mr. Waters, but Dad, he's not listening.
How many male teachers do you have in the school? You're it.
The only dude there.
Only one.
Just me and me and the janitor.
Man, see, I think, men and women fit different roles, and women are more nurturing.
Right.
Dudes are the disciplinarians. And it sounds like maybe dudes should be teachers.
They really should, especially in the youngest. Like, so many teachers send their kids to me, like send them to Waters class. And they don't know. I was like, I have a good time in my classroom. Like, I'm tough, but at the same time, I don't like disciplining other people's kids, because I was like, you guys know, when I talk to other older kids, it's like, look, you know what to do. You're not listening because you don't want to listen. In this class, and it's crazy because my kids are disciplined and they get on the kids when they come in here. Like, I taught them mama jokes, and they're really good at mama jokes. I mean, like, really good at it. So when talking about carrying the one, right? I used to teach them the one goes to the other side. But everyone kept saying, where does the one go? I was like, it goes to your mother's house. That's where the one goes, to your mama's house. And I'd be like, oh! So then they would start laughing. So then every time you ask an open-ended question, they would fill in and say that. So when the other older kids come in and be like, why aren't you not sitting at your seat? Because it's at your mama's house. And they'd be like, oh! So the older kids were like, stop talking about my mom. And I was like, these kids are 5, man. You're 11.
Yeah.
Like, relax. So they come and they're like, Waters, you got to discipline them and stuff like that. And I was like, this is all on the parents. And I feel like a lot of teachers don't let the parents get guilty of what they haven't done.
Right.
Like, the first conference I ever have, I look at the results and I talk to the parents and I was like, look, kindergarten reflects what you do as a mother and what you do as a father at home. That's what it reflects. What it reflects in VBK, what you other do, and reflects how much you push them at home. So these results reflect on you. Now, maybe I'm not supposed to say that, but I say that, and next you know, I have women just crying, parents crying, and everything else. I said, but anything can change. Like, anything can change. I've seen it all. The question is, madam, are you ready to work? Are you ready to push your child to the next level? Now, most of them don't know I'm quoting a lot of Batman and everything else and Dark Knight references and Jedi stuff and just getting inside their head. But they're like, yeah. I said, so I need you to do your part. Because at school, I'm going to do mine, but I need you to take this thing seriously. I said, look, we're not in kindergarten anymore. Kindergarten's really second grade now. The question is, can you be ready? And it's really hard in my classroom. The stuff I'm doing is hard. They're multiplying, they're dividing, everything else. And his parents are like, she doesn't need to do this right now. I said, but she can do it.
Why not get the head start?
And she goes, it's just really hard being in your class. I said, do you want her to be prepared?
Dividing? What are you going to do when they get to 6th and 7th grade?
Don't matter. If you got a strong feature, you better be a good headliner.
Well, I mean, the parents, it seems like most of them look like they just, okay, this is where you go for 6 hours a day. And most are not involved in the school, and they really should be.
These parents, in my school, parents have to do 20 hours of volunteer work.
Oh, really? Is it a private school?
Public charter school.
Oh, it is? Oh, okay. Right.
Volunteer. They have to volunteer for 20 hours. And I tell them all the time, I was like, look, you know how kids really know how to read? They read through memorization and new blending sounds, and they read because they look and see what you do. It only takes 40 minutes to sit down with them and do it. And it got to the point now, they did it for like the first 30 weeks, but after December, all of my kids have mastered all the kindergarten standards, and now we kick it up to the next level. And when the kids that have a lower time, what I do is I put them in different groups, and they're very competitive. And I was like, why don't you teach him how to do it? Because if I know you've mastered something, you could teach somebody else how to do it. And I had my first year, I had maybe 8 immigrant students that didn't speak any English at all. So I was like, man.
From where?
They're from Mexico. They're migrant workers. They're mostly Mexicans and different other immigrants, but all of them spoke Spanish. So I had one of this girl in the classroom, she spoke fluent Spanish and English, and I was like, I used her as an interpreter. Even though it was messed up, if I was like, I want you to tell her what I'm saying now. I was like, now I'm going to talk to her in Spanish now. Because my Spanish is good, but I was trying to get words out. And I was telling her, I was like, look, you got to learn now.
Are these legal immigrants?
I don't know, man.
Don't know.
I mean, I was at a Title I school, so there's no telling what. This girl's never spoke English in her life. And at the end, I realized children learn amongst each other. So what I would do is I would teach the circle around them, and I would make her friends teach her. And then when I come and teach her, I teach her like that. So she talked like a valley girl, because she hung like this Mexican girl. She thought my hair. She did this. Oh, my God. I was like, why does she talk like that? But she's learning from her friends now.
Yeah.
So now I was like, okay, now we got to read now. So I was like, yeah. And I told her, and the parents, they didn't speak any English at all. So during the conference, I would download the app, and I'd talk to them in English, and I'd let the app translate it and everything else. And I was like, your daughter knows how to read. Okay? I was like, no. Leer, mucho. I was like, what? I was like, yeah. And I show her, and I take a book out. I was like, all right, read to your mom. And just tears. Just like tears, crying. She's all like, my daughter, dinero. I was like, yeah, she counts money. She goes, yeah. How? I was like, no, she can do it. I was like, but you got to take that time. So just imagine a regular student that doesn't have this, you know what I mean, as everything else, and then one that doesn't speak any English and learning how to do it, but not having any help at all at home. So I realized, I was like, I got to teach you how to do this now because no one can help you at home. Mm-hmm. So it's like tough. And I was like, no crying, no. Okay, Sarah. And they taught me, Pao, you want a Pao? I don't want Pao. I said, Padre Pao. No, my daddy, no Pao. So it was like I was like a real poor school, and then I taught him. I was like, all right, if you can read, there's no reason why nobody else could read, because she doesn't even know the sounds, and she learned how to read at the end. And I would tell her, I was like, put her inside groups where she would look at people, and she would look. I was like, all right, now it's your turn. I was like, no, we got here. Read with me. Me and you read. I'll read a word, then you read a word, and I'll do a sound, and we do like a sound. So I'll take all the letters, and I'll just point to a letter, and she's like, k. And I put the A there, and it's like, ah. And I'm like, cop? Cap. And she's like, oh, okay. I was like, just break the letters down. So what I do is I'll just break everything down the way I learned.
So this is kind of almost, the child will assimilate the parents to a certain extent, because they'll go home and teach them.
And that's what the parents are learning. The parents are learning like, wow. She goes, the mother's like, I didn't know how to explain everything else. Is like, no, she's going to do her spelling test. She says, but we don't practice. It's like, no, we practice here. It's okay.
Do they get extra tutoring, these kids?
It's me tutoring.
That's it?
I mean, this isn't my new school. My old school was just me. I mean, the school was running down, so they didn't have the resources. So since I didn't have the resources, it was just me by myself, realizing I was like, these kids can't get left behind. So I got to find a way to teach them. So I would teach them memorization. I was like, how do I memorize a joke? I was like, because. Say, because? I was like, yeah. I was like, Because. B-A-C. I was like, B-E-C-A-U-S-E. And they're like, B-E-C. I was like, every time you see it, just say it out loud. Because. I was like, yeah, that's it. So any like big words, I would teach them different ways how to do it, because English language is hard. Mm-hmm. So like the C, there's two sounds to a C. So I would teach them the C, and then I'm like, K. I was like, now the C makes a S sound. And they're just like,
yeah. What?
What? So I'll teach them a song. I was like, no E, no I, no Y makes iced tea. So we talked about Ice Cube and iced tea. So I showed a picture of Ice Cube, and we had a lesson about iced tea. I said, Ice Cube, he's tough, he's hard. Ice Cube, straight out of Compton. Ice Cube, tough. Iced tea, soft hair, baby. Look at him. Iced tea. And then I bring a picture of, I had a whole bunch of ice cubes. And I was like, look, feel the ice cubes, they're hard. So we all had a lesson about ice cubes. I said, put your hand in the iced tea. They would flick it out of each other. I said, iced tea, soft. So, sss. That's the iced tea sound. Ice cube is hard. So we made a song. No E, no I, no Y makes ice cube. The ice cube sound is k, k, k. The ice cube sound is k, k, k. So every time they saw a C and they didn't see an I or E or a Y next to it, if you see a C-A-T, like, no, k, it's hard. Then you say E, I, and Y, makes iced tea. The iced tea town, and we made all these songs, and they realized I was like, is that a Y? Yeah. Cry, good, or nice. Do you hear it? Oh, nice, peace. And then it was just like, wow. I was like, I don't think I might have to copyright all these phrases.
You should, man.
I might have to copyright all of them. But I was like, how do I learn? I said, I could point to any kid and they could sing all of Bruno Mars's Uptown Funk. I was like, if you can remember a song, you can remember how to say a thing.
Mm-hmm.
So we would just learn how to break things down. So if anything's breaking down, I can do it. I maybe can't eat a whole pizza by myself, but I could break it in sections and I'll eat the whole pizza. I'll eventually get to it. So I'll just teach them different phrases, different parts of the word, and I'll just say, just put it all together.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So once they put it all together, then you get the whole team. It's like you need the offense, and you get the offense, and you get the defense, and then they all started learning really fast. And the ones that knew how to read already, I would put them with the low ones, and I was like, we'll try to mix it up. But then when we read together, I put the high, mix them up and have the groups. But I was like, you guys got to help each other. I was like, this is a team. I was like, how are you a friend if you don't help your other friend read? And then I had to stop because some of them got like authoritative. Listen to me. I am the teacher. I was like, no, Waters is the teacher. Just help her read. So then some of them would start memorizing. I was like, good, just memorize the words. You memorize and break it down.
I'm fascinated by the charter school thing, but
Right.
It seems like there's a lot of opposition to charter schools.
Charter schools, I've ever break it down like this. Charter school is different. Public school, they get all this funding from the government. They get the funding, and the funding goes to each child, right? Charter school, all the funding goes to the school, and the school puts it where it needs to go. So the schools weak area, they'll put all the funding here into like the ESL program and build that center or build this up. That's the difference. So that's the reason why a lot of people don't like charter schools, because it's like, well, we don't know where the money's going. Because the charters, like a public school, you're just going to get all this money is for one child.
Right.
But if you're the smartest kid in the school, what is this funding going to do for you if you've already mastered what you had to do? Couldn't this other kid use some more?
Right.
Or where is the school lacking everything else? So that's the big thing about charter schools. Another thing about charter schools, the contracts aren't guaranteed. You're just signing an agreement to earn. So it's really, you're playing a ballsy...
So the teachers are actually in opposition to it too then?
Playing a ballsy move.
Because you're not guaranteed anything.
It's a ballsy game. You know what I mean? Because like if you quit, whenever you quit, your paycheck stops. It's not fair, but if you did a full year of work and you get paid over the summer, and all of a sudden another school offers you a job and they cut off your summer because you tell them you're no longer with the company, they're like, all right, you're done.
So these are run not by the school board. These are run by like companies?
Independent. I mean, anyone. You can start a charter school yourself. I mean, if you got the money to do it and if you get approved, you apply, you do application. After you do the application, they grant you have a school board of people in the community, and after that, you run a charter school.
See, I'm a big fan of that. I'm a big fan of free market in general.
My CEO that did it, he's a smart dude. He pretty much started the whole company because his son wasn't learning inside the public school. So he created a school where he used the new pretty much the multiple intelligence, because he said his son wasn't learning the right way. So he wanted to create a school and base it off the multiple intelligence of like Garner and everything else. So our school is like catered to the intelligences. So people learn different ways. So he started that. He started as like a VBK program and expanded it there and expanded there. So now he has like 4 different schools. So it was just like he realized something wasn't working, and now he started doing it. And he was retired at 35. He didn't have to do this. He did it because he's just like, this school system's not working the way I wanted to. It's not catering to like the low section people. So he made this school for his son originally, and then it blossomed into like, she has like maybe 6 schools or something like that.
I love that. And I know they've had a lot of success up in Harlem, in New York, with charter schools.
Charter school. So it's like, it's a good way to go, and it's really just, there's no leash. It's like when I first started teaching, I was like, what lesson do I do the next day? And my principal was like, I'm not going to stand over you and be your babysitter. You know what to do. I was like, no, I told you I didn't know what to do. I've never taught kindergarten. She's like, you're going to just figure it out. And I was like, all right. So I just figured it out. So now it's just like, you know how to lift weights. You went to school for lifting weights. So now you're in the gym by yourself. You already know what to do. You just got to find the right weight for that day. He's like, all right, I want to do chest. Well, you need to find exercises that work your chest. I'm not going to be doing squats when I do chest because that's a contradiction of what I'm doing. Or you find different ways to do it. So I was just curious, and I was realized that a lot of kids were getting left behind because I was like, all right, if I know these kids have mastered it already, I need to focus on the ones that aren't getting it.
Right.
And I had to tell some of the parents, it's just like, you need to do more as a parent. And it's hard telling a woman that, your child's struggling because you're not helping her.
Mm-hmm. It's a truth, though. It's
a truth. It's really babies raising babies.
Mm-hmm.
I had a parent tell me, like, what do you do? She's telling me about what I did. I was like, first of all, let me go check and see what she doesn't freaking work. I was like, how about you come in and volunteer since you have a lot of free time on your hands?
Right.
She volunteered and was tired and couldn't do anything. I said, hey, we'll see you tomorrow, right? You know what, Mr. Waters, I'm going to leave. I was like, okay, all right. And it's just not backing down. I feel like a lot of people, just because they're parents, I was like, they're not my God. I don't report to them.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I know what I'm doing. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But if I'm right, I'm right. And then sometimes just like not backing down. I'll be in a meeting and it's like, I remember one parent told me, he's like, what do you do all day? My son comes home with so many papers and we don't know what his homework is. I was like, look, I don't bicker through email. So if you want to come for a conference, you're more than welcome to come.
They probably didn't.
No, they came.
Oh, they did.
And what I did was I printed out their email about all the nasty stuff they said about me, and I brought one of my bosses and I read the email in front of my boss. I said, we're just going to turn to paragraph 3 when you said I'm educated about this topic. I just want to let you know I am educated about this topic, and what you said is you don't know where your son's homework is, but I want you to look at the beginning of the year. Every Monday we send out a newsletter of all the homework that's assigned there. So do you get the newsletters? It says right here I sent it to you, so you're probably not reading it. Okay, let's look on Friday because we sent another letter about what we just learned in school today and the homework's there. So where are we getting confused about what homework's due on each day when it's there?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, people are always trying to push the blame, push the buck.
Yeah,
to
but that's the thing.
else.
You're not gonna punk me in front. Like a lot of other teachers take the blame. Like I was like, no, F that. I'm not running from a parent.
Right.
And I'll see them square to face. Like, so what are you saying right now? And she's sitting there like, well. I said, well, so you're saying you're wrong. First of all, let's apologize for that. I'm apologize, Mr. Waters. Like, second of all, you have to step it up as a parent. You're telling me you don't know what your son's homework is because you don't do your homework for your son and you don't check his homework. He hasn't done his homework for 2 weeks. How do you not know what he's not doing? Yeah. And they're just sitting there like, oh my God, like, wow. I was like, yeah, you need it honest.
Gut check.
Freaking, I can baby you. And nobody babied me when I was a kid. Freaking, I remember I made the varsity football team and they cut me off the varsity football team and put me back on JV to humble me. And I remember being on varsity as a sophomore, talking to my other friends that didn't make varsity. You got to step it up, man. You got to do it, man. You got to freaking do it. And then I come and he goes, hey, Waters, let me talk to you for a minute. We're going to move you down to varsity. I didn't know it was for 2 games or whatever. And I was like, it feels so demeaning. Like everything in my life has just been hard, like freaking demeaning me, everything else. I was like, man, I'm freaking down to varsity, freaking down to JV. And my point was, he goes, you should be the best person here. It's like, you should be getting the other guys ready. Because when I was a freshman, when we messed up, the varsity would come down and goes, I need Jared Waters, I need this is the people that jumped off sides, meet us after practice. And they would F us up, do hitting drills and everything else. And he goes, we're trying to make sure that you guys are ready when you get up here. So that's how I am, especially in comedy. A lot of people's like, Jared's rough on me, Jared will tell me everything else, he's the toughest one. But I was like, I'm trying to get you guys better, man. I was like, JB doesn't have enough time to come all the way down here to talk to you guys about jokes because he's freaking doing other stuff right now. He's over at the varsity. I was like, yeah, but I played at varsity, and I'm down here right now, and I'm letting you guys know this is what you need to do. Mm-hmm. Work harder. I was like, me and Cam had a conversation when he first started, maybe like a year in. He goes, who's funnier, me or Raj? And I was like, honestly, you want to know? I was like, I'm going to take Raj right now because Raj knows who he is as a comic. And Cam looked at me and everything else. We had a conversation. I said, you got to take time to figure it out. And I told him, he looked at me like that. And I was, yeah, he needed to hear it. No one told him that before. Me and Rio, we're good boys. Rio told me, like, that doesn't work. But one time, I remember Rio was just dancing on stage one time. And he invited me to a show where we first started meeting each other. And for like a minute, he was just like, and I talked to him after the show. I was like, what are you dancing for, man? Just get to the jokes. F everybody else. Get straight to it, man. Don't try out these new jokes. Use the stuff that works. And then when I F up, Jared, you don't need to do that. Or Cam, like, nah, you should have tagged it up that way. I was like, yeah, you need that because iron can sharpen iron. You can't sharpen nothing if you ain't built out of iron first.
Yes.
So
I totally agree with that. And we talked about this a little before, that I wish more comics here were like you. And I know not everybody has the time.
Right.
But a lot of them do. and they just choose not to engage some of these other guys. And I don't know if it's, I don't want to be bothered with this. I'm not in this league anymore. I'm doing other stuff, or they're just busy, or what it is. But it's a problem. And I know there are a lot of talented people here that could use some grooming, and nobody's taking the time to do it. It's very cliquey, this little scene here.
I'm gonna address that. First, I'm gonna give it a analogy. I seen Chris Johnson one time in East Carolina, about to go to the draft, run a 4.19. He was pretty much out of there, and he came back to talk to this guy and help him out for his drills. And I remember when you walk on the football team, it is the hardest thing. You just ever hear people walking up, and there's like, nah, you got to do it, man. Take time and everything else and show me. Some dude mentored me, and I was like, how do you not give back? And when I say the guys up there, they do give back, but they're talking to us. It's just like a different level. It's like, all right, the lieutenant's going to talk, the freaking captain's going to talk to the lieutenant and ask him what's going on. I remember Law Smith one time I was doing Cafe Hay, and I was doing a character, and I didn't do it too much, and Law goes, you got to go full whale, man. I was like, what? He said, you got to sell it out, man. If you're going to do it, you got to go full out, and that's how they're going to get it. And that's how I need it. I think the guys that think I wouldn't say they're cliquey, they work with the level that they're in. Does that make sense?
It does, yes, and I get that.
They don't think like that. So since I go both and everything else, I can bang with the big guys and come down there. But I'm just like, this one chick, she goes, I made a joke. I was like, all right. I said, your whole joke is about a rebuttal off my joke. How does that make you funny? You're telling a joke that I do, right? And you're rebuttaling that joke, but nobody in the crowd knows it because I didn't tell that joke that night. So why would you think that's funny? Oh, excuse me for being like that. I was like, all right, you can get offended, but I'm going to let you know. And I told a lot of guys, I've talked to Cam Rio, I was like, you guys got to step up and start saying something, man. Because how do these guys not know? I said it's like this. Nobody supports rape, right? Not on this podcast. Nobody does, right?
Absolutely.
Nobody supports it. So how come we don't stand up when it happens? If we love comedy, if we love this woman, and she's been good to us, how do you not stand up when you see somebody doing things wrong to her?
So you're talking about comedy is the woman.
As the woman.
Okay, gotcha.
How are we letting people, there's different forms of rape, there's date rape, there's people that have been doing it for a long time that you know, that are still in there not doing it. I'm talking to the old guys too. When we talk, I said, dude, you got to be out here. Yeah, man, I know. I said, dude, you freaking open for this. What happened, man? He goes, dude, I had nobody talk to me like that before. I said, I want to know, man, what happened? You should be giving this knowledge to me. There's no reason why Tampa, we don't have any OGs here, and they're here, but we just don't see them.
Yes, totally.
You go to Orlando, Ken Miller's sitting out there talking to the other guys, Pedro Lima and everything else. I was like, we don't need to go all the way out there to get this juice. But we go out there. When I talk to the old guys here, what happened, man? Why'd you stop? Keep going, man. But that's the type of person I was. I was always like that. I remember my best friend, he played football at the University of Miami, and we were doing a foot tackling drill, and he hit somebody. I was like, you're just a freaking pussy, man. You're just a punk. Get out. If you're not going to hit him, move out of the way so I can hit him. Get out of the way. I took off his helmet, threw it on the ground. I was like, I'll hit him if you won't hit him. All of a sudden, he puts on his helmet, and just the dude black, he knocked him the F out. I was like, that's what you got to do every time you get on this field, man. I said, you got to. I was like, the scene is more like the football, but like what you do is like wrestling. That's the individual part and everything else. And it's like Fernandez and the rest of them, like they're fighting a battle that I haven't fought yet, or I'm fighting now. They're fighting a battle. So when they tell me about this battle, I can understand and take notes from them, but they can't, this open micer is not going to relate to what they're talking about. And a lot of sometimes these open micers think they can talk to them like that. Some dude I remember like 2 years ago walked up to JB at freaking Sacred Grounds. Here, man, I wrote a tag for you. This will make your joke a whole lot better. I was like, who the freak does this guy think he is? To just walk up and think, yeah, that was and JB said, all right. And he leaves it and walks off. And the guy's talking. I was like, hey, man, I understand what you're doing, man. I said, but you got to work on you first, man. I said, you just bombed for 12 minutes. He goes, what? I said, yeah, that was garbage. He goes, what? I said, how are you going to tell him? He just killed what he needs to do better if you're not doing anything better. And it's just like the guys that you say that should help out the younger guys. Some of the guys you look inside of and know they don't want to do this for the rest of their lives. Some of them just want to do it to be fun, just to hang out with each other. I was like, why would you do this to yourself? Why would you come up every time and just bomb on stage and degrade yourself and do this? This ain't fun for me. This is what I want to do since I was a child. Like, I've always knew it was stand-up. I always knew that it's comedy somewhere. And I was like, for you to come up and get on stage and not be prepared and just play around and think it's a joke and everything, I was like, no, freaking take some pride in this. So when I do get on them and do say something, that's what they'll probably tell you. Jared's a dick. Jared's everything else. Jared's whatever, man, he's going to tell you. I was like, I'll give you the props when it's there. I told Zach Townsend, you got a whole lot funnier, man. I remember when you first started. Elijah, all these young guys. I was like, man, freaking keep grinding, man. Keep doing it, man. Jonas, come on, man. Let's freaking do it. I said, but some of the guys, you can look in their eyes and you know they don't want to do it. So it's just like, if you're like JB and Fernandez and freaking Kyle Roos, all of them. Kyle Roos, he helps out the guys in St. Pete and stuff like that. He does a lot for them. But when you look in the guys and they've been doing it for like 10 years and stuff, and you see somebody who just started and doesn't want to do it, like, what? You know what I mean?
I do.
There was open mic Kyle Roos came to. He just did a show, and I was like, you're going to get on. He gets on, and he sees like 6 of them. He's like, dude, you guys are depressed before you even get on stage. Freaking be excited. Freaking take pride and stuff like that. And like, who is this guy? I was like, first of all, let's respect who he is. And I was like, yeah, he's giving you guys some pointers, man. But it's just like, man, he doesn't know. He's not at the mics and everything else. I was like, he took his time to say that because it had to be said. I was like, someone take time, like, hey, man, maybe you should change it this way. Or I like where you're going with and stuff like that. I've let all the guys know, yeah. But if you're just not doing it, everything else, I was like, dude, you should use your real name on stage. You should wear pants on stage. You shouldn't wear shorts. What? I was like, you should take it seriously. Like a John Jacobs, man. John Jacobs came back. I was a little depressed after freaking California, but now he got some fire on him again. So now he's getting these mics, giving people the opportunity and the platform and stuff. And I know people respect his opinion, too. If he tells some of them, they'll listen to him.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them, they don't want it. Some of them just don't.
I think it's a confidence thing, too. And I think if you had guys like you and, you know, John's doing his thing, Kyle's doing his thing, it's scary. Comedy is a scary thing to do in general. And then you go up and bomb or you don't do as well. Just having you guys around would be good, though. I know what you're saying. Like, you're not on the level. You're not there yet. You're not. But they could get there. They could learn.
Right.
You can't be taught these things.
I talk to the guys with potential. I talk to them all the time. And the people that don't know you, I was like, stay with it, man. They asked me, I was like, dude, you got to stay with it. I said, what do you think I should do first? I said, first, you just got to be honest, man. And you got to find what you want to talk about.
Finding your voice is important.
I was like, it takes a while to find it. And when they ask me questions, I was like, I don't want to feel like I'm unapproachable. Because most of the time, I'm going to be approaching them and talking to them about it. And I was like, I told some chick, I was like, hey, I mean, it was good. But, I mean, do you really got to show your butt on stage? So everyone was laughing. I was like, I think you should stop drinking before you get on stage and take it serious and do a real set when you're not drunk. You freaking dick, whatever, okay. I was like, all right. I said, then you have to get drunk every time you get on stage and know that you're funny. I said, I think people are laughing at you, not laughing at the stuff that I don't even think you writ it down.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, oh, all right. I said, well, how come you say? I was like, I'm not going to say anything to anybody else that's been doing it more than me at all. But like older guys, I've been on the road, this comedian, and he was telling me something. I was like, maybe you should do it another way, man. He goes, what? You know how long I've been doing this? I said, yeah, I understand how long you've been doing it. I said, but you sort of like wasted 10 minutes of your show scolding a heckler that we could barely even hear. Because I didn't think about it like that. Thanks, man. But he just like, I had to show him that I was about it and show him that I was willing and everything else. And I was like, yeah.
It's a hard thing to hear that there's comics are egomaniacs, right? I mean, you have to be in order to get up on stage and talk by yourself and assume that you are entertaining and have something to say.
I think some people should study all forms of comedy and realize what type of if you want to be an improvist, you can go do improv. And that's not easy either. That's the hardest thing I ever did was trying to improv, depending on other people. Some people are improv people, and they think they can trans over to stand-up. I was like, you got to write jokes. You just can't improv on stage the whole time. And some of them don't know, and some of them think they know what they're doing, and they don't want to listen.
Right.
So when you talk to them, it's like, all right, whatever. I mean, they got their own little clique. I was like, it's not a clique. I'm only trying to help the people that want to get better. Show me that you want to get better.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I've already talked to you about this stuff, but you continuously don't want to know.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, all right. Because, like, the guys that are up there, they don't want to deal with it. I was like, I'll deal with it because I'm here. Because I know what it's like to be moved down and start back over again. When I got here, I had to start all over again. Everything I would accomplish, like, F it, I don't care. Given what? Who have you worked with? I was like, F, never mind. Okay, yeah. I got to reprove myself. So I was on reprove. I meet all the other people proving themselves and everything else. So you only make each other better. And they're like, you guys are just a clique. I was like, I'm not a part of any clique. I was like, I help the people who are going to get better. When I get off stage, I'll look to Cam. Were you listening? Yeah. What do you think I should? Oh, Rio, were you listening? Yeah. Okay. All right. I was like, I take the suggestions, think of different ways. All right, man, I didn't think about it like that. Thanks, man. If I walk up to somebody and tell them, it's like, I thought it was perfect. All right. Nobody else did. Who do you think you are to come over here and everything else? I was like, it's about the little things, man. I was like, the people that get on, people that sometimes in a sport, some people get things because they're consistent. They might not have all the skill, but we know he works hard. We know Rudy was never going to the NFL. We know he never had anything, but in practice, he worked hard. I was like, pay attention to these. I tell some of the guys, I was like, when we're going to the improv open mic, set up the chairs, man. Why am I always setting up the chairs when I get here? So now they try to help out. I was like, you should be setting them up as soon as you get here. Because if you make people feel like it's a show, they'll sit down and they'll listen. It's like, how better? The improv's been better, right? They're like, yeah. I was like, why do you think that? It's because people are sitting down and they're looking at you instead of standing up. Because you're standing up, you're going to move around and start conjugating. Like, oh, wow. I was like, let's see which one's going to do it. I was like, I challenge you to do it. He goes, oh, man, I don't know. I don't think I am. I was like, I think you could be the leader of the new school. No, man, I don't. I was like, all right, if you don't believe in yourself, I can't believe in you. Never mind. I'll do it myself then. I was like, but I can only show you how to do it. And I can tell you this. You ask me for advice, I'll give it to you. I was like, some people work really hard. I was like, yeah, but sometimes you got to realize, hey, you're on a treadmill, man. You're doing a lot of running, but you're not going anywhere. Mm-hmm. Why don't you get on the ground and start running and see how it really goes? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
What's been your biggest, since you're out of here anyways,
Yeah.
you can finally gripe and complain. What does Tampa need to do in order to become the new Orlando, I guess, or just a place on the map for comedy?
I don't. The only thing I said why Orlando was because I met that comic Dean Napolitano. But honestly, I would say Tampa is the best scene I've ever been in. And I'm just being dead honest. Because this is the perfect place where you can come and work with a working comedian and talk to them and gain their respect. You know what I mean? This is the perfect, because you're learning. It's like, if you're good, you're gonna start working. That's the thing. You're gonna start working immediately. You're gonna start getting time, and you're gonna be connecting. Like when me and Cam were in New York, we start all the connections that we had just because we did a guest set in front of someone and they remembered us. Or I dropped off a comic. He goes, hey, call me when you get to New York. And I call him, what's up, man? Hey, what's up? I was like, what the F? This is freaking happening. But when I was in North Carolina, I couldn't do anything. If I was in Raleigh, maybe it's different in Raleigh. But I was in North Carolina, I had nothing. I couldn't. People would come from Texas. I was like, dude, I've never heard of you. He goes, I've opened for, I do my own shows, everything else. Oh, maybe you could write jokes for me. I was like, all right, whatever. But this is the stamp. These are established comics. There's no reason why I should be sitting at freaking the movie theater at 2 a.m. with Bobby Kelly laughing and joking around. Just we developed a thing, and he goes, you want to go to the movies? Like, yeah, I'll go. All right, freaking let's go, buddy. And I never would have been in that position if I wasn't in Tampa. Like, for like all the people that started here, I was like, this is the best place to start. Because there's clubs, and you're seeing comedy. Like live, real comedy, and different forms of comedy. Like when you're around the college area, it's going to be college humor. It's going to be comics that come in, they're just going to be doing college jokes and everything else. But when you're around like here, I said, this is the best place to start. If you just humble yourself and realize, I need to learn first. Look at Kyle. Kyle freaking, he told me one time we were talking, he said he has a shaved beard and he was a clean comic in New Jersey. I was like, I never believe. He's like, what? I was like, what? Really? He goes, yeah, that's where I was. And I guess he was a different comic. I was like, now, I guess, I don't know how long he's been here, but I was like, now, he's a freaking beast. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Or freaking Rio to be down here, and I was like, yeah, I was like, Rio, look at the people you're working with, man. I was like, you look at that freaking Cam working everybody else, and freaking, someone else is grinding. Raj, I don't know if you met Rajel before. You met Rajel before? Uh-huh. Rajel told me the best thing I said. He goes, dude, you start out your set with an abortion joke. I really think it'd be funny if you didn't say the word abortion. I was like, oh, yeah. He goes, because it throws people off. And he wouldn't have told me that if he wouldn't have been in a comedy club. I was like, I didn't think about it like that. He goes, yeah, like, try to be likable at first, man. Like, he's like, you mind if I give you advice? He's like, yeah, I'll take anything. So somebody tells me something, I was like, who am I not to take it?
Mm-hmm.
But if someone's not grinding, not working, I was like, the F are you? What the freak are you? And it's just getting the guys to just believe. They got to believe in themselves. Like, I can't put heart inside of you.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And talking to David. David's like, you're going to police the rooms up in New York? I said, F no, I'm not going to police the rooms because there's beasts that police it themselves.
Right. Well, that's a whole other...
Right, that's a whole other beast as ever. But this is like, I would say Tampa's like the hyperbolic time chamber. You're fighting at a disadvantage because a lot of people here all open mics no one knows it's comedy there. Hey, here's comedy. What? We came to get burgers. So you're starting at a disadvantage because people aren't interested and you're gaining their attention.
Yeah.
And one time when me and Cameron in New York, and I was like, dude, this is a small crowd. I said, this is perfect for us. We've been in small crowds all the time. This is nothing. But some of the other comics were like, freaking nobody's here. Da, 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 da. I was like, no, this is nothing but Tampa for us. This is perfect for us. This is it. Or when there's like nobody showing up, I was like, F it, let's do the show. It's got to work. You can make 7 people laugh. But some people get to the point where they see somebody working on jokes and they think, oh, maybe I could just BS. I was like, they're working on something. You need to develop something. So I tell the guys to step it up and talk, man. Some of them talk, but some of them don't really. I think some of the young guys can be more vocal. I was like, you guys have
I think they're afraid.
I said, what are you afraid of? Elijah can start talking.
Themselves, man. Their own hurdle is themselves. Getting over your own shit. I can curse on this one.
Yeah, well, I think a lot of them should be able. I told a lot of them. I told this young comic. I told her, I was like, you need to step up and start talking to people. What? Whatever. I'm not you. I was like, all right. People need direction. How can you not sit and help somebody?
But not everybody's a leader. You're a leader.
Right.
I mean, there's leaders and followers in every sort of group.
And some people have that. Some people have that. I was reading what Chris Rock said that he how he was disgusted with comedy when he did Def Comedy Jam. He was disgusted and he's like all clucky ducky or whatever. And he said he was doing a show and Martin Lawrence was featuring for him. And he said that he thought something broke in the crowd because there was a big roar. He thought something broke or like a fire or something. And he said it was just Martin killing. And I was like, and he said that, and he said he just made it his business to be like the best comic. And I was just like, what? That fire right there to notice that something's like that. And he goes, he didn't hate on him. He's just like, nah, I got to be better. You know what I mean? Like, it's motivating seeing JB do Montreal. That's motivating.
Absolutely.
That's motivating seeing Ron Hortman telling him what he's doing, or Steve Miller getting a writing gig. That's motivating for me. I said, that's the motivation. I was like, if you don't have intrinsic motivation, I was like, extrinsic, what are you trying to accomplish with extrinsic?
Mm-hmm. That's what I mean by getting over your own.
A lot of people here want token rewards. Token rewards meaning that you're doing something for a token, meaning that you're doing it just so you can say you've hosted for someone.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just getting good so I can do a guest set here.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
What? That's all you want to do is hosting? F hosting. Then now you want the next step. The worst thing for me was knowing or tasting what success felt like and then have it taken away. When I was wrestling, 2-time wrestling champ, I'm not talking about my stats, but I got effed. I freaking, my junior year, this guy was 40-0 from England. And the first match I didn't wrestle because I think I took a freaking laxative or something and effed up my stomach. I don't know how I got a laxative. I thought I was taking Pepto-Bismol. I took a laxative. And my stomach was effed up, head was effed up. So I didn't wrestle the first tournament. So after the first tournament, they made this whole article about this dude, freaking Cole McCann, I forgot his name, 40-0. Went to the States, everything else. And then my coach came up and talked to me. He goes, this is the guy that's going to be there at the tournament for you. He goes, what do you want people to say about you at the end? He goes, what? He said, nobody knows who you are right now. He said, it's time for you to show everybody in this place who you are. He said, this guy, he's overlooked you. He doesn't think you're ready for this. He doesn't think you deserve to be on this mat. Show him why you deserve to be on this mat. Within the first 2 minutes, I was up 10-0. And you have to be 15 to tech him. I ran out of gas and still beat him, whatever. But the whole time, he was just looking the whole time like shocked, like, who is this guy? What the F and everything else. And I could have been depressed the whole time because I was kind of like, I was like, this dude's 30, 40-0. He's beating everybody. The people that I've lost to, he beat. And he was just like, this dude's the best. He was in my head, and my coach was all like, so what? And I needed that. It's like, so what? He's the best. You don't think you're the best? You're working hard just like everyone else. Come on, let's try it again. I was like, F it, let's do it. And I beat him. I was like the #1 ranked wrestler, and then I lost my edge. I stopped working hard, and I got spanked in front of, like, the worst thing to do is get beat in front of a whole bunch of girls, and I got destroyed in front of a whole bunch of girls. Worst thing is having somebody have you in the head and arm, and he's just hitting there, and he's just sucking you in, and I'm just like, this is just bad. And the ref's not calling. He just wanted to choke me out, and I can't get out, and he's just like, yeah, my coach is all like, you lost your edge.
That's when you learn the most, though.
Yeah, that's when I learned. I was like, all right, next year, no one's taking it from me. And I'm never going to let a dude up again. And I realized everyone else, and I was like, everyone else on my team has to be better. And I was just like, even though I was at 160, I would go down to 135 and talk to the young guys, come on, wrestle me. What? Let's wrestle. Come on, let's do it. This guy named is Kerry Cola. He does this training camp in UNC Chapel. It was the Beast of the East. You come there. I did it for like 11 days. And he told me, he goes, he won the Olympics. And then he broke his ankle and broke his knee at the Olympics. He wins the gold, goes back on the plane. They call him and say, we're debating a point because we don't think you should have got that point. You have to come back and wrestle again for the gold. And he loses, broke his ankle and everything else. And he told me, he goes all like, make sure you finish him off. Make sure they don't have a point to say it's debatable. So when I tell people all the time, when you get on that stage, I say, there's a reason why you're up here. Don't be scared. There's a reason why you're up here. Don't worry about the crowd. There's a reason. You're up here because you're funny. You're hosting because they're funny. They're not hosting just to throw you up there. I think the only advantage that we have here in Tampa that the host can freaking bring in. Most of the guys are like, oh, freak, nobody cares about the host, whatever. The host is just everything else. I was like, F no, when I host, I'm trying to get jokes out. F the freaking announcements. F all that other garbage. I'll do that later. I come out telling jokes. Then I might stumble across announcements because that's not my focus. My focus is to let this headline know, oh, he's funny.
So
wow.
Tampa does have, I didn't really know that it's different from other cities.
Dude, it's a whole lot different. And I tell people, like some of the guys, when I went back to North Carolina for this comedy festival, the people I work with, they're just like, what you've done now? And I was telling them all the stuff like, what? Really? What? So yeah, what? You worked with what? How'd you work with him? And I thought it was a form of disrespect. Like, what do you mean? How did I work with him? Like, you're working with him now. How'd you get there? How'd you get this show? I was like, it's not a lottery. I was like, I'm working hard for it. Like, what do you mean? I was like, what are you talking about now? I was like, I'm just talking about stuff that relates to life, man. And sometimes I told Cam all the time, a lot of times the people you start with, you're gonna become ahead of them. And sometimes you're gonna leap the people that some people don't want to get better. So a lot of people I start with quit, freaking did something else. And I'm talking to them, I was like, no, you're doing that. And they think, oh, he doesn't know anything. I was like, I think I know a lot. There's a whole lot of stuff I don't know, but I'm not going to speak about stuff I don't know because there's a level I don't know. But I'm just like, nah, man, this is what we got to do. Oh, man, grind here, everything else. And I learned a lot. I've been working on my personal stuff about forgiveness. And I realized that the hardest thing for me is to forgive a person that's done me wrong. Because when I got baptized, I was talking to my minister, and he goes, yeah, you got to forgive a lot of people. When I was in North Carolina, this comic stole my joke, word for word. He still does it now. And when I was talking in North Carolina, he says, hey, man, this guy, that joke that you used to tell, yeah, he tells it now. Did you take it from him? I was like, what? He goes, no, yeah. I was like, we started in the same scene together. He still doesn't. He changed the joke to fit his own, but he stole it from me. And my thing is, I was watching Chris Rock, and Chris Rock said, if your jokes are so good, it doesn't matter who takes it because it's yours. I said, he can have that hacky joke because it's hacky.
That's what I have a lot of. We did a show last year at the Creative Loafing Space, and I had a guy come out and film it, and I was giving everybody their tapes. My idea was to edit the video and put out a short clip showing what Tampa could do. And nobody wanted to do that. I don't want to put my stuff out there. I don't want it on the internet. How is anybody going to hear it unless you put it out there?
Got to own it. And the thing I think some guys think is it's not ready yet. Some people feel it's not ready yet. Now I'm just like, all right, I'm going to start putting stuff out there because if they take it, I'd rather people get behind it now. But it was just like, I get that to the point, but I was just like, people can't steal your perspective. No one can talk about kindergarten because you can't relate to it.
Mm-hmm.
Can't talk about being from the Netherlands. You can't talk about everything else. And I was like, if you're going to take it, freaking take it. But I forgive the comic now. I forgive him. Do I want to F him up? Sometimes, but I've learned to just be like, when I see him, because we're probably going to cross paths in New York, I guess got to be like, look, man, all is well. We were friends before this. I can get over it. But it really taught me a lesson. I'm glad he stole it because now I know I don't need that joke anymore. It was a crutch for me. It was a crutch to warm up the crowd and do a little hacky joke to get him on my side. Like, oh, wow, it's funny. And now that's me conflicting with myself like, don't do it anymore, Jared. It's done. You're a whole lot better. You have way more material than that freaking stupid joke. Get over it.
Yes, exactly. And you're going to come up with more great things.
You're going to come up with more material and everything else. And I was just like, sometimes just like freaking, you got to promote yourself.
Totally.
And just believing in yourself. Sometimes like, man, I want to put this bit. This is a great bit. I don't want to throw it out there like that. But I was like, maybe I should throw it out there and let people know this is the bars that I'm coming with.
And you have, it's time-stamped, right?
Right.
So say it's uploaded this day. So if it comes back into the future, like, if somebody takes it and sees the video, you'd be like, no, I did this back in 2011.
Right.
It's right here.
Yeah, that's what I remember Roy Wood Jr. said. He said that you should put it out more so people know you started it and got behind it.
Absolutely. I agree with that 100%.
And some people shouldn't look about stealing. Nobody's taking jokes. And if they do, we have a comedy scene where everyone polices each other. You know what I mean? If someone has a joke similar, I was like, nah, someone has that topic already. Or someone else will come out like, nah, you should stay away from that topic. Or no, this is even, I think Rio's like, if someone else can think of something similar, I'm done with it. I was like, all right.
I love that attitude, and that's why Rio is one of the best, I think.
Yeah, shout out to Rio.
Let's wrap this up, man, because it's already 11 o'clock.
Jesus Christ.
I know. Thank you very much for coming in, though. I'm glad you came in before you're off, though, now.
Yes.
So it's a pleasure talking to you. I'm sorry.
It's been a pleasure as well, man.
Hopefully we can do it again in the future.
We will do a call-in. He's going to play Aretha Franklin for you guys.
Aretha Franklin sending us out. HMB-sides, HMBradio.com. Jared, thank you very much.
Hey, no problem. Together.